Let's talk to New York Times best-selling author, businessman, and all-around financial expert Peter Schiff, president of Euro-Pacific Capital. His latest book is titled How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes. Peter, to spare both of us the agitation of lots of criticism of this and that and what's wrong and this and this and this, the reality is some of our problems, because America uniquely, unlike any other country in the world, owes a lot of money in its own currency. We're not Greece in that sense. We're not another country in that it does not have the dominant default currency of the world. Do you buy the argument that if we were to take advantage of that fact and really get honest about the housing problem, about the unemployment problem, about the China problem, that unlike other countries who are really screwed, we don't have to be as badly screwed as somebody like Greece, for instance, if we make good decisions?
No, actually, we're screwed worse. I mean, we are more reckless and more irresponsible because we are borrowing in our own currency. That allows us to try to inflate our way out of the problem, but we simply inflate our way into a bigger problem. You know, the statistics that you're running off, the U.S. economy is never going to recover until the government and the Federal Reserve get out of the way and allow market forces to restructure this economy, because government policy has so screwed it up. You know, it's the Chinese that are supporting us. They're not, you know, if it wasn't for the Chinese, there'd be no products on the shelves at Walmart. Who knows where interest rates would be if the Chinese weren't buying our treasuries? Now, in the long run, they're not doing any favors, by giving us the rope to hang ourselves with. But we have to understand how badly damaged our economy is because of the policies by people like Bernie Sanders, who was just on. And you know what really bothers me, when he talks about allowing people to keep their own money that they earned, and he looks at that as a giveaway, allowing me to keep the money I earned. The government isn't giving me that money. I earned that money. And what we need in this country is a respect for hard work and for entrepreneurship, and to let people know that the way everybody benefits is if you allow entrepreneurs to invest and grow businesses and hire people. Because if we chase all the entrepreneurs out of this country because we tax and regulate them to death, there's going to be nothing left.
So make this distinction for me. There's a huge difference between a new and innovative business that is creating work and wealth and solving problems for the reasons and inspirations that you just described. Though somebody who is a good competitor who competes. There is also a culture of those who cheat, those who use the access to the government, the ability to manipulate the government, the ability to use the government to prevent something else from happening. So the question is, how do you draw the distinction between the business community that is competitive and value creating and the business community that is, for instance, in my view, the financial institutions who utilize their access to the government to facilitate their interest at everybody else's expense?
That's the problem. We got to take the power away from Washington, and that access won't be so important. And I agree. Government and Wall Street are in bed together. Obama isn't taking on Wall Street. He's been bought and paid for by Wall Street. We have an economy that benefits Wall Street, but it bleeds Main Street dry. These cheap interest rates that we have are hurting the economy, but they're helping Wall Street. They're allowing Wall Street to continue to make money doing nothing but gambling, but shuffling people around. Meanwhile, credit is being taken away from Main Street. There is no money to invest in building a productive economy. A man can't get a loan to expand his factory, to buy new equipment, because all that money is being shoveled over to Wall Street based on government subsidies.
So I feel like there's a misperception in all of this debate in general, in the political community, in the media, on the street, that this is a class warfare of some kind, that it's rich versus poor, the tax debates make it class warfare, all these things, when the truth is it's a culture war between those who compete and those who seek to cheat. And at the end of the day, so there's rich cheaters and there's poor cheaters and there's rich competitors.
In economics,
go ahead.
You hit the nail on the head. You know, it's something called rent seekers. You have a number of people who are making a living off the government. They're feeding at the public trough. Some of them are just, collecting government benefits, like unemployment benefits. But some of them are living in, million-dollar mansions in New York, working at Wall Street firms. They are living off the productive class. And the productive class is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it creates the ability to vilify, whenever they want to talk about all the rich people that we want to tax, they always point point to Wall Street. But most of the people who are rich are not on Wall Street. Most of the people who are going to pay these higher taxes are regular small businessmen that are trying to compete and grow a business, but that can't do that because the government makes it so complicated, not just with all the taxes, but all the regulations that cost a fortune to comply with, but do nothing to make us more competitive or to protect consumers. They protect the inefficient competitors who have friends in government who write these rules to benefit their own special interest, but to undermine the national interest.
Thank you, Chris Dodd. How is it that we ultimately make a distinction and avoid the train wreck that it would be a political and media-based class warfare, rich versus poor, which is really where we've been forced into by both the Republicans and Democrats in the political debate, in my view, and switch from the class warfare to the culture war between those who compete and those who would cheat?
Yeah, I mean, why did we look? We poured gasoline on that fire by bailing out all these Wall Street investment banks. People made a lot of money gaming the system. They made all these bad, risky bets. When the bets went sour, we bailed them out by taking money away from Main Street. And if you're talking about this younger generation, you know, there is absolutely no way that the government can keep the promises that were made to the baby boom with respect to Social Security and Medicare and finance that by taxing the younger generation. They are not going to stand for it. They are either going to revolt or they're going to leave. They're going to flee this country like my grandparents came to this country. They're going to try to escape the tyranny of high taxes and regulation and inflation, and they're going to try to go to other places like China, where, believe it or not, there's a lot more freedom, there's a lot more respect for individual liberty and private property in communist China than there is here in the United States.
I'm well aware. I've been going to therapy to deal with that, Peter. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for the conversation this afternoon, Peter Schiff. Still ahead here on the Dylan Ratigan Show. Clash of the Titans.